Today after an attack inside the detention center over the weekend.
District Attorney Jim O'Neill is recommending felony assault charges against the inmate accused in the attack.
The individual over in the jail that attacked your guards should be charged with a felony assault. I believe probable cause exists to charge him with the felony assault. As an independent charging agency, of course, the decision is yours. But I believe based upon what you provided to me today, that's the appropriate charge.
Sheriff Kimbrough said his office will now press charges, handing it over to the magistrate's office. He also gave an update on the detention officers who were attacked. Both suffered concussions and broken bones.
They said they wish they could be here because they wanted the public to see the trauma that they received and what they're going through. But of course, they could not be here because of physical strengths. One of them is still having severe headaches, blurred vision, the gentleman that has the brain bleed. But they both wanted to be present.
Matthew White was initially arrested back in January on a murder charge. This is his mugshot from that arrest. He's been in jail ever since. The sheriff's office say they believe the new assault charges will be filed today. We'll keep you updated on that.
The North Carolina Zoo is growing. Leaders broke ground today on the new Asia expansion. It's the first major expansion at the zoo since 1994 when North America opened. Last November, state lawmakers approved $75 million toward construction. The 10-acre expansion focused on Asia will feature animals like tigers and Komodo dragons.
So seeing Komodo dragons swimming over to you, and when you're as a visitor looking through that glass at them, that to me is exciting. The other thing that's exciting is the tigers will have access between various places that are their habitats overhead of the guests. So you'll actually be walking underneath tigers as they're crossing over to go from one space to the other.
It's been a team effort, and we're glad to be a part of that team. I also have a vision. There will be Australia coming. I see and I hope to see a hotel and a convention center here.
I'm still stuck on the fact the tigers will be walking over you. Obviously some big plans for the zoo. The Asia expansion is expected to open in 2026.
Very, very cool. Well, this new expansion at the zoo comes as Asheboro works to make itself a destination for all kinds of visitors. Right now, work on the new Zoo City Sports Complex is underway. YMCA Director Patrick O'Hara and City Manager John Ogburn teamed up on this project after the city started buying land 14 years ago. After years of planning, the city broke ground in 2020. Soon the site will be home to 8 athletic fields, a dog park, trails, an amphitheater, and room to host community events.
I don't know that there's one in the triad that has 8 fields, turf, and lighted.
It's going to expand to where we can get other people from other counties, other cities to come up here and participate in our programs.
Construction is still underway. It's expected to open in March.
All right, time now for your 45 Roundup. First up today, Guilford County leaders discussed the new 988 hotline today. You'll remember it's a resource for people in need of mental health resources. It's the first few weeks, in the first few weeks since the hotline went live, they say thousands of North Carolinians called or texted. When someone calls, trained counselors help connect people in need to help. The Guilford County Animal Shelter is staying open late today. It's hosting a Name Your Price adoption event aimed at getting as many dogs and cats adopted as possible. This is a live look right now at the event. Just a few weeks ago, the shelter was at critical capacity. No appointments are needed. They will be open until 7 p.m. Have you seen this video of a waterspout off the Florida Panhandle? Someone in Destin shot this video early yesterday morning. Fortunately, the powerful waterspout stayed off land. It stuck around for a while, though, providing a show to beachgoers for about 20 minutes before it dissipated. That looks like a movie to me.
It looks like a tornado, or maybe even the end of the world or something.
Well, a waterspout is like a tornado that's over water. I don't want to stand in front of the image here. Move back a little bit. So it is like a tornado that's over water, but you don't generally see it that wide. Most times they look kind of like a string, kind of just a straight up and down.
Right.
Not necessarily this width. So if I was at the beach, I would be scared. I mean, it's really not best to ever be at the beach when you see a situation like this, because the thunderstorm has the possibility of making its way on shore. So it's really not good to be out there, but that is crazy.
Do you know why it would be so wide when they're mostly very narrow?
I mean, you just have good energy, especially if this is down in Florida. They have the tropical conditions that are good. We haven't been feeling them, but down there they have. And so when you have that humidity, you have the moisture, you get that possibility. I mean, every single storm is different. None is the same. So there is that possibility.
Yeah, just fantastic video. How long does something like this usually last?
Well, an average thunderstorm, just an ordinary thunderstorm, generally lasts about 30 minutes. Most tornadoes don't stick around for too long, so it really just depends. But again, over the ocean, you already have abundant water, so you have a lot of the qualities that you need for a thunderstorm to continue to grow. The good news is, looks like this thing stayed offshore, because if it got on land, it could have got messy. Look at all those chairs. They would have went flying.
And the people that could have possibly been out there. I mean, there was someone taking that video, so there were people out there, but geez.
Are waterspouts, do they tend to be as strong as tornadoes, or is it? Because I just assume that they're weaker.
Well, I wouldn't want to send that message about weaker, because when we talk about thunderstorms, every single bit of storm threat can do a damage that you don't necessarily know. So like winds, heavy rainfall, they all can lead to differing factors. So one strong wind gust from a small, weak thunderstorm could actually knock down a tree, and that could knock down a power line. So when we talk about the strength and severity of storms, all severe weather threats are kind of all in the same spectrum of being a severe weather threat, and that's why we characterize them all together. So I can't necessarily kind of answer that question, because also being the meteorologist, we want to make sure people listen to every single severe weather threat that we encourage and talk about.
So when thunder roars, go indoors.
Go indoors, always. But the good news is we're not going to be seeing any thunderstorms today. It's been a good one. Yesterday I talked about how that sunshine is going to be making its way back into our skies, and we're seeing it today. A mix of sunshine and clouds have been the story for your Wednesday. And as we look across the area, some folks dealing with a little bit of cloud cover, but for the most part, we're getting to see so much more sunshine as compared to yesterday. Yesterday was such a gray day, very ominous views, making you feel like you just want to stay indoors. Well, today, more than likely, you're planning an afternoon activity outside, because weather conditions are just so nice. This is a look across the area at those current temperature reads. 79 in Greensboro, 81 in Burlington. They look as though they're the warmest spot. The crazy part is it's August, and it's the afternoon of mid-August day. These temperatures should be in the upper 80s. We're seeing 70s. We're roughly about 10 degrees below that average temperature for a lot of people. Now, partly cloudy skies is the same story we're going to continue with for tonight. As these temperatures fall down into the low 60s, it actually will still feel really good, and that's because the dew points are staying in the 50s, which means that the humidity isn't back yet. So therefore, you get to feel the 60s, and you get to really feel the 60s. It's going to be a nice evening for a nice walk outside.
It could be like this year-round. Well, it doesn't exactly feel like summer today, so maybe you're in the mood for pumpkin spice. Dunkin' started selling its fall menu today. That includes the pumpkin spice latte, pumpkin cold brew, pumpkin donuts, and maple sugar bacon. Every year we've seen fall items and pumpkin spice returning to menus earlier and earlier. As for Starbucks, it hasn't announced when it will sell fall drinks, but you can find the flavored coffee beans and creamers in grocery stores right now. Well, I have no complaints about these things coming back earlier and earlier, because I do love me a pumpkin spice donut or latte, but it does seem kind of early, you know, for some of these stores to be rolling
I mean, it's
out.
August. I mean, granted, it feels a little bit like fall outside, but it's just, every year earlier and earlier. But would you guys be offended if there was just pumpkin spice year round? I
would not. I mean, I made some pumpkin spice almond muffins last week. Remember, I posted them on Facebook. So I personally wouldn't be upset. I think it might take away the excitement, you know, that people get about it, but I wouldn't mind if it was year round.
Unfortunately, I'm not one of those people with that excitement, you know, about pumpkin spice.
So
you did
the excitement. Oh, I did. I didn't even notice it.
Excitement. I said I'm not one one of those people. So I don't do that dance when pumpkin spice comes around. I do love munchkins and donuts, so nice to spice up the little munchkin bag with another flavor. But I'm not like, oh my gosh, yes, I was waiting all year for now. No, that's not me.
What about you? I don't drink PSLs. I don't do the pumpkin spice anything. I mean, I don't really care.
What about the candles? Now that is something I feel like should be seasonal because you want your home to smell like fall.
Yeah.
But the food, I wouldn't mind if it was year-round at all.
I own one candle, and I bought it because I found like a masculine scent, right? Like it kind of almost smells
like a cologne or like a body wash. Yeah,
so I bought it just to have it, to put it on, my table in the middle of my living room because it needed something on it. I don't really use it.
So you don't light it, just there for decoration?
Really, no.
I like vanilla and like cinnamon and those, well, not necessarily cinnamon candle, but more of like the milder smells. So something like pumpkin spice, it depends on them because sometimes they can be a little too strong.
Or some candles can be too sweet.
Yeah.
Smell too much like candy. I like more of a linen or lavender, clean sheets.
Fresh water.
Like yeah, fresh water, things like that.
Well, since we're talking about fall, why not talk about football? Like Friday football fever. It is back. We are looking forward to covering all the big games this season. Our first Game of the Week poll is live right now, but it closes in 1 hour. Before 5 p.m., vote on the homepage of WFMYnews2.com. You can vote as many times as you'd like. We will announce the winner tonight at 11. We'll be right back. No doubt when we think of Mount Airy, Mayberry and Andy Griffith come to mind, but thanks to some creative development, this small town is redefining itself and the tourism numbers are backing it up. Eric found out about their recent success.
Jessica, these are huge numbers that we're talking about here. Explain to me about the tourism numbers and the sharp increase, and then I want to talk about why you think that happened.
Yes, we're excited today that Visit and See has released the tourism expenditure numbers for each county in North Carolina. And looking at Surry County's numbers, we were up 45% from 2020 to 2021 in tourism expenditures, and we are now at 136.99 million in those expenditures, which impact heavily the lodging industry, transportation, restaurants, lodging, those types of things that impact our industry.
Now, why do you think that is? Because that's a really sharp increase.
Yes, if you look across the board, the numbers across the state are very strong. And I think I credit a lot of ours to being a great leisure destination here in Mount Airy and Surry County, with, obviously Mayberry still being important in the hook to us. But now that we have, a great amount of wineries, breweries, outdoor recreation, we've got 4 rivers with river accesses, we've got, hiking and mountain climbing at Pilot Mountain State Park. And then just our location in the state being close to the Blue Ridge Parkway also helps us as well.
So real quick, let's talk about the Mayberry thing, because that's been a thing for decades. I know you can't hang your hat on that forever probably, but how does Mount Airy plan for the future with or without the Mayberry hook?
Yes, Mayberry is still our hook here in our Mount Airy Visitor Center and our efforts here in Mount Airy. But, we just created a brand new mural with Mount Airy downtown in the city of Mount Airy. And it's brought in lots of new visitors to our area that were already fans of the show and fans of our town, but it's also brought in a new attraction. So as time goes on, we know that Mayberry is still important to us, but we want to make sure also that we let visitors know that we have a great variety of things to see and do around here to keep you here for several days.
This is great. I have to say, Jessica, my hometown's growing up on me here. You hardly recognize it anymore. Best of luck, and thank you for taking time out.
When I think of Mount Airy, I think of Eric.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's the first thing that goes to my mind.
He needs to be the mayor of Mount Airy.
The face of Mount Airy.
Well, the thing that I really like about Mount Airy is that it does the way that they had described it. It's kind of the best of several worlds, right? So you've got the Andy Griffith hook. So, people who love to come from all over to see some of the different areas. But then you've also got the mountains. And I mean, it's beautiful in the fall time up there. So they really have a lot of different things that they can pull and use, like the resources they have to increase tourism up there.
And it's just a great community. I remember Pilot Mountain when that fire happened, just how everybody was coming together, supporting the first responders. You had the local breweries and things like that that were creating beers, to help support that effort. So it just seems like so much rich history there.
Absolutely. And it's growing. It's good to see. And we're going to vote for Eric Chilton for mayor of Mount Airy. And we'll
Eric for mayor.
We'll
I'll make
back.
the t-shirts.
I walked out this morning and I was like, yes, the sun is back. It was so difficult to get out the bed yesterday with that sun not being there, but today was a much different story. The clouds have been with us through most of the day, and in fact, if you look closely, it looks as though we have clouds that are layered and moving in different directions, and that's been the case today. We've had some low-level clouds, some mid-level clouds, and they're actually coming from different directions because we have some stuff happening at the surface, and then we have something different happening in the upper portions of our atmosphere. You can see that as you go through this time lapse on here, it looks busy. Again, this is a look at the clouds, but this is looking from the outer space perspective, not necessarily looking up, but looking down. And as you look closely on here, we actually have some clouds that are shifting to the east, but then we also have some that are coming down from the north. It's a bit of a messy picture on here, but overall, these white dots you're seeing are just look at those clouds out right now. Our satellite radar not showing any shower or storm activity, and I believe we should say dry for the rest of your evening. Few clouds may move into the triad area, but it looks as though along the coast some of those showers can pop up from those clouds. As we go through the day on Thursday, there is a small chance we could see a few showers, but for the most part it should stay mainly dry. Now Friday, that's when things could get busier, especially in the afternoon. We have a frontal boundary just to the south of us that could push in some more storms, especially for the late day. So your Friday is expected to be a cool one with greater storm chances, and that continues through the weekend.
On your mark, get set, go! Today's U-Day moment. Coach Lamont gets us mentally prepared to win the race called life.
Regardless of what it may look like and what odds are against you, you are not done. You still have a strong finish within you, a finish line that is expecting you. Life may throw everything, causing you to retreat to a place of rejection and hopelessness. But stay focused and steadfast, knowing that God is going to bring you out of what you are currently facing. You will never be given more than you can bear. And if you are walking through it, it's an indication that you are built to withstand and come out of it. Remember, there's always a next level, a next adventure, a next major accomplishment. Whatever you do, now is not the time to quit. Keep moving, keep striving, keep going. This is Coach Lamont. Make today your best U-Day. I'll see you tomorrow.
Check this out, not what you would expect to see at the Outer Banks. Cape Hatteras National Seashore posted this picture of what's called a lesser Atlantic devil ray. It was caught during a ranger program called Surf Fish. They snapped a picture and then returned it to the water. These are cousins of the giant manta rays. They're also smaller, only reaching about 3 or 4 feet across, but still pretty big. Could you imagine seeing one of those things out there?
Yeah, it's about as tall as me.
3 to 4 feet across. I mean, that's got to be the size of this table at least,
But
right?
the name, the lesser devil ray. So is the sting not as intense?
Don't look at me. I don't know nothing about no stingray or devil ray. All I know is I don't want to see one ever unless it's in a cage or in a glass.
At the Greensboro Science Center.
Maybe I wonder if we can pet this one like you can at the Science Center.
If you want to, go for it. But
You could probably ride that darn thing.
I probably could. That is huge, 3 to 4 feet. And I guess it looks like it has a little pointers. Maybe that's where the devil.
The horns.
The horns. That's where the devil.
Yeah, that's probably where the name comes from.
I think a lot of people are probably upset that they found out that they threw it back. It's like, no, it came up on land and it's done now. Yeah. We're saying goodbye to it.
The good thing is, though, I guess when they put it back in, it was able to still stay alive. Because I know sometimes when stuff comes ashore, they won't survive and they're not able to just put it back in. So that's good.
The devil works in mysterious ways.
He does. Surely he does. We want to do another Coach Lamont.
Yeah, but we might even bring Coach Lamont back. Get that out of your spirit.
All right, that's going to be it for this half hour. We'll be right back.
It was a lot of fun.
Hi, mic check 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
Welcome back to the 4 to 5. We're having a lot of fun on this hump day. I'm Lauren Coleman here with Monique Robinson, and we have the Chad Silber.
Like the Ohio State, right? I'm better than that though, right? I don't always go by the Chad Silber, but thank you for that. I appreciate it.
No problem.
Hey, thank you for watching us on air, online, Fire Stick, Roku, and the News 2 app. Slide into our comment section.
I think you say slide into
the DMs.
Yeah, I was thinking about
But we do
saying
have
that.
Right.
Well, you can slide into Chad's.
Sure, yeah, just come say hello. We're always up to talking, aren't we? All right, let's get right to it. Back to school season. You know, it's really picking up. Some Triad students are already back in the classroom.
Others are enjoying the final days of summer break. The day circled on the calendar is August 29th.
Oh yeah, that is the day that all other Triad students head back to class. There's been some talk online about why schools are going back so late this year. Well, some lawmakers recently passed, state lawmakers rather, recently passed a law saying schools cannot start earlier than the Monday closest to August 26th. So that's Monday, August 29th on this year's calendar. The law doesn't apply to early or middle colleges or extended year schools. They can set their own schedules. A few schools in the state seem to go against the new law. For example, Surry County students went back this past Monday, and Gaston County near Charlotte went back today. The general counsel for the Department of Public Instruction said it's not clear what could happen when districts choose to not comply with calendar laws. We did reach out to Surry County schools today about their calendar, but haven't heard back.
So growing up, I went back to school after Labor Day. So I asked you on my Facebook page, when did you go back? Joe Nappy says after Labor Day, watching the Jerry Lewis telethon was my goodbye to summer. Jeff Griffin wrote, we started a week before Labor Day. Nicole Roan, it was always around August 24th. Daryl Mason says at first, after Labor Day, the school system decided to back everything up 1 week. Then it was the Monday before Labor Day. What about you?
So I grew up in I mentioned this the other day, I grew up in a very small town in Wisconsin, and it was a tourist town. So people from Chicago would vacation all summer in my town, just enjoy the lakes, and we just kind of grew up in it's called the Northwoods. And so all of the stores and businesses relied on the high school kids to work there. Right?
Okay.
And so they mandated that we couldn't go back to school until after Labor Day because the stores needed the high school kids to continue working.
That makes sense, because I always wonder, why do we go to school at different times?
Right.
Like I said, I went to school after Labor Day, and then my cousins who live down south in South Carolina, they were going to school, you know, starting back way before I did, or they got out of school so early. So I always wondered, why didn't we all get out at the same time or start at the same time?
Someone was telling me some other states have been going for like 2 weeks already.
Yeah.
So it's
even
pretty
some
crazy.
places in our area, you know, some of the middle colleges and, and things of that nature. I know back home in Northern Virginia, so I went to school after Labor Day, but recently, within the last 2 years, they changed something, and so the kids are starting next Monday. So I don't know what that was about, but traditionally it was after Labor Day.
Interesting. Well, we want to make sure that students are ready to go on day one. For 25 years, we've collected supplies for students as part of our Tools for School drive. You can put supplies in donation boxes at Walmart while you are out shopping this month. Tools for School runs through September 5th.
Let's get to your 4 to 5 roundup. Today, Forsyth County District Attorney Jim O'Neill recommended felony assault charges against the inmate accused in attacking 2 officers. Sheriff Bobby Kimbrough said his office will now press charges, handing it over to the magistrate's office. Matthew White is the inmate accused in the attack. He was initially arrested back in January on a murder charge. We do have his mugshot from that arrest. He's been in jail ever since. The sheriff's office say they believe the new assault charges will be filed today. The high school football season gets underway this week, and there are already some changes. Several schools are choosing to move Friday night games to Thursday as we keep an eye on a chance for some scattered storms. We're keeping a running list on our website, WFMYnews2.com. You can see which games have been rescheduled by clicking on the sports tab and looking for this story. Final construction is underway in Winston-Salem ahead of the Winston-Salem Tennis Open this weekend. Stadium court at the Wake Forest Tennis Complex is almost ready to go. You can see it in the video here. The tournament first started in 2011 with both singles and double games. Qualifying starts this Saturday. The tournament will wrap up August 27th.
It's Wednesday. We're halfway through the week. Are you enjoying the weather now? Things have changed day by day. Just compared to yesterday, we're a couple of degrees warmer this afternoon in Burlington. 81 is that current temperature. Clouds around, sun around too. It's not on the way for this afternoon just quite yet. Those dew points are in the 50s. I keep referencing them. I know it's confusing. You're always saying dew point. What are you talking about? I'm describing the amount of moisture in the air. If you were to zoom in really closely, microscopically, looking at the air outside and kind of counted how much moisture was in the air. When the dew points are higher, in the 70s, there's a lot of moisture just sitting in the air. That's why it feels like a sauna on those days. Today is not one of them. With dew points reading in the upper 50s and 60s, not so much the case. Now, as we go over the next couple of days, it's going to change. It's going to feel more like summer should with those dew points reading in the 70s for the Carolinas. So as we go through the day on Thursday, they're riding a little bit, increasing, getting warmer, temperatures getting warmer, dew points feeling like 60s. Now, as we go through the day on Friday, take a look at those southern cities where dew points are now reading in the 70s. That's what I talked about when it feels tropical and it feels like a sauna where the air, you're sitting in moisture. So we're seeing those dew points reading in the 70s, and then as we move further north, it still is on the lower 60 range, but as we go through the weekend, we're definitely gonna all see those 70s increase across the area. This is all due to this changing weather pattern. This frontal boundary that's currently sitting across the southeast is going to inch its way further northward on Thursday and lift as a warm front. Behind the warm front, so that's the air sitting down behind the warm front, is more moist and more warm. So as it lifts across our area, we're going to have that warmer air settle in, and that's going to be the case for the weekend. That's what's going to increase the rain chances and storm chances as early as Friday, and stick with us through the start of next week.
It was another chippy football practice in Foxborough today. Players from the Panthers and Patriots got into a fight during today's joint practice. Coach Matt Rule sent Kenny Robinson off the field after the fight, and officials also removed some other players. It's the second day in a row fights broke out during these joint practices. But it hasn't all been fights. WFMY News 2's Amanda Ferguson found a moment that might make you smile.
Joint practices are somewhat like training camp, just going up against one another. Families can still be around. Panthers wide receiver Rashard Higgins brought his son up to the podium to talk with us after practice. He tells us about him.
His name's 7. The number 7 in the Bible means completeness, and I felt like since I got my mama house, made it to the NFL, gave my life to Christ, just having my son made me complete. So 7 it is, S-E-V-I-N. I put a little twist on it.
7 follow in Dad's footsteps. Well, Rashard says once he's able to do so, he's going to have him backpedaling. He wants him to be a DB. So I thought that was pretty interesting.
So cute.
I love that. I love when athletes bring their kids to the podium.
Yeah.
That's always so
I love
cute.
that he had a whole explanation ready to explain this is why he's named 7 and everything. It's really cool.
Very, very special. I love that too. It just humanizes them and lets them know these are real people with families, and that's exciting.
I wish my name meant something special like that.
Amanda,
I don't,
I'm
yeah,
sure it's rooted in something. It means something.
And so you're looking more into this this fight thing that we've been seeing.
Oh yeah, but it's pretty normal to have some type of kind of fights going on because you're going up against another team, but you just don't want to get hurt right now while you're doing these joint practices. That's not the goal here. The goal is to learn. The goal is to get better.
You don't want it to impact your whole season because of something that really didn't need to happen in the first place.
Especially with Christian McCaffrey because he was involved and it was very minor. I mean, they kind of shoved him at the end.
Yeah.
But he's okay. But you don't want a guy like that to
Right.
get hurt, especially right now.
Some people are probably wondering why are they with the Patriots right now? And so they're playing them
They're playing them
then.
this Friday, so they're just having some joint practices with them. Pretty normal to have joint practices with another team.
Oh, okay.
Cool. All right. Thanks, Amanda. Hey, before we go to break, you have 20 more minutes to vote for our first game of the week. Friday Football Fever kicks off this week with high school football back. Right now, the Dudley Page game is in the lead, but it doesn't have to stay that way. If you want us to feature your school as the game of the week, be sure to head to WFMYnews2.com, and you can vote right there on the homepage. The poll closes at 5 p.m.
Mic check 1 2 3 4 5 6 7
A family in Burlington has been reunited with their dog that had been missing for 10 months. The Mashburn's dog, Abby, hadn't been seen since last year.
Such a great story. Then yesterday, Abby returned home. WFMY News 2 Jalen Gilkey found out how this reunion came together months later.
That day we were gone and my son just let her out for a minute and just walked in the house for a minute and come back and she was gone. She had a collar with a tag, name and everything on it.
For the last 14 years, Abby has been part of the Mashburn family until one day she just disappeared.
It was heartbreaking for me and my son and stuff like this. It was worse on my wife. My wife had real bad health for years and years, and this was her companion. You know, she wasn't a care dog or anything, but it was her companion. It's part of her life. And for the past 10 months, she was really down. I mean, really, really down.
That is until yesterday when an unfamiliar woman brought in a familiar dog to Possum Canine Dog Grooming.
She was here probably about 2 hours, and I went to go get her out of the kennel, and I noticed that we have these, name tags on our boards, and it said baby girl, and I said, this ain't this dog's name.
So Shelby, she made a call.
I wasn't aware that she was missing, actually. What had happened was his wife is terminally ill, and so I figured something had happened with her, and that's why I had not heard from them in a while. So then, when everything took place yesterday, I called him to check on Abby, just to make sure I wasn't losing my mind that I had the right dog.
And that she did. So now Harry, his wife, and Abby are one big happy family once again.
Overjoyed, two different reasons. Glad to have her back, and I knew it was going to help my wife. I mean, that was more so than anything else, because she has been so depressed, really for 10 months. She's been very, very depressed.
According to the Mashburns, their family has decided not to press any charges on this mysterious woman. They say they're just happy that Abby is back home.
Wow, 10 months later, a lot of times when their pets go missing and, a few months pass, you've gone to the shelters and things of that nature, you kind of expect the worst. So for her to be in good shape and everything like that, that's amazing.
It was truly a remarkable story. I couldn't believe it.
And then, I mean, what kind of story does Abby have to tell?
Yes.
Where has she been and what has she been doing? 10 months is a long time.
That's the follow-up story.
What has she seen? And so Mr. Harry told me when he went to confirm that it was Abby yesterday, that she looked like she had been kind of in poor condition, not as groomed and as well taken care of as their family is used to taking care of Abby. So I know she's happy to be back home at the plush living that she's now accustomed to.
And glad she's back with her owner, because that was her emotional support. He says she's been depressed for the last several months, and pets are like our children, so I'm glad they're reunited.
And Abby looked very comfortable just sitting in his arms during that interview.
Just chilling.
They said when Mr. Harry walked into the grooming salon, they said Abby went berserk. I mean, running around in circles, barking. I mean,
it was definitely her.
They said there was no way that wasn't their dog.
Yeah, that's great. Great story, Jalen.
Yeah.
Thank you. We'll be right back.
70s, 80s. That's what we're feeling right now. It's August, feeling like kind of maybe September, early October, but I'll take it. It's better than yesterday. We're on the upward climb. Clouds and sunshine are the story for now, and then moon and clouds will be the story for tonight, as we're going to be seeing some partly cloudy skies and temperatures falling into those low 60s. For your day tomorrow, we're going to be right around the same numbers, maybe a few degrees warmer for the day in some spots, maybe 1, 2, 3 degrees warmer, but for the most part, it should be just about the same temperatures for your day with partly sunny skies and staying mainly dry. By the afternoon, we could see a few spotty light showers, but it should stay just around the same quality of weather we've had today. And the same with that cloud cover, a balance between the sun and the clouds. I also just want to point out the feels like temperatures throughout the day, because as we go through the day, it will feel differently. And in the summertime, when we do have that humidity building in, well, there's a drastic change between the temperatures and feels like temperatures. Tomorrow is not going to be the case because the humidity is staying low. Around 7 a.m. we're going to be in the 60s, and then once the sun starts to peak out, we're going to skyrocket into those low 80s, and then by the evening time, we're going to fall back down again into those 60s. So your 7-day forecast want to give you more than enough time to soak it in one last time for this 4 p.m. hour. Storms are more likely for Friday, and that's going to be associated with this boundary moving north. Some of that activity will linger into Saturday, and then again on Sunday and going into the rest of your work week, we're going to go back to that typical summer pattern where it's warm-ish, I would say for August standards, with the chance of afternoon storms.
Catching a flight right now isn't as easy as it once was. Airlines are dealing with staffing shortages, resulting in thousands of delayed and canceled flights every month. Travel company The Points Guy is out with its yearly airline rankings, hoping to help flyers make the best travel choices.
For the 4th year in a row, Delta Airlines is the #1 airline. That's according to a new report from The Points Guy.
We actually put some weight this year on family travel. And the airlines that are nice to families, Delta now actually has family seating, so that got them a little extra love.
The Points Guy CEO and founder, Brian Kelly, appeared on CBS Mornings to discuss how his company ranked the top 10, which put Southwest at #2, United #3, American #4, and Alaska Airlines at #5. He says there are 4 main factors: reliability, the overall experience, cost and number of destinations, and finally, loyalty perks.
The funny thing is Delta didn't actually come in #1 in any of those categories, but they posted really strong. They're also the most expensive airline, so consumers are willing to pay to be treated like humans. I think that's the key theme we're seeing.
Southwest ranked #1 in terms of cost and number of destinations, while United scored the highest among frequent flyers. What are your thoughts when it comes to booking your travel?
Well, I book for reliability, comfort, points also.
The ranking comes during a difficult year for air travelers. U.S.-based airlines canceled more than 120,000 flights through July, but experts say there are ways travelers can make their trip smoother.
Always check to see where your aircraft's coming in from. You can set alerts for your flight. Always get the airline app.
Another tip, if you're delayed and need to get a hotel room, airlines usually won't cover that, but there are credit cards that offer flight delay and interruption coverage. Trinity Chavez, CBS News, New York.
You had very strong opinions coming from you during that.
Delta was #1, and I'm like, why? They don't like me.
I'm sorry.
Share your story of what happened to you a couple months ago.
They delayed my flight I'm only going for them because they're #1, and I'm telling my story here. They delayed my flight 7 times, and then they rescheduled my flight for the next day and had me for a 14-hour layover. That sounds reliable to you?
Apparently she didn't vote.
And then they gave me an e-credit, and then I tried to book another flight, and they said you only can use it on the phone. Do you know how long it takes to get someone on the phone? Sorry.
And it's funny. And it's funny because clearly this is a person by person just impression of what this is, because I only fly Delta and I like them for the most part. So I mean, I think it's just every person's experience is very different.
And I'm the person that flies all the airlines. I go with whoever has the cheapest ticket for when I'm flying, because I'm not a constant flyer. I don't fly like every other month or anything like that. So when I'm going on a trip, I just go from Greensboro to XYZ and look at who has the cheapest flight.
Right.
Unfortunately, here most times Delta doesn't fly from Greensboro.
Oh, there's lots of flights every day.
Oh, from Greensboro?
Yeah, like
oh, maybe not where I'm going.
At least like 8 to Atlanta and 2 to Detroit every day.
Oh. Wow.
And then even some to like New York, LaGuardia. They
Well,
have, like,
those
5
ones
a day.
usually have a connecting flight, and I don't like connecting flights.
I always go direct to LaGuardia.
Really?
Yep.
You got to get with Chad the
With
next
Delta.
time you book a
But how much
flight.
Delta
He's going to give you the Delta.
So usually the Delta
411.
round trip to LaGuardia is like $250, which is I think very reasonable.
My recent one was $230 one way.
Oh, dang.
To LaGuardia.
Maybe you need my help.
Yeah.
Maybe you want to buy the
get on
flight.
that.
I could do that too.
Okay, we're gonna wrap up here. Let us know which airline you use, if you use any airline.
Or if you walk,
maybe
take a bus.
Right. We'll be right back.
But how is the experience? Is this mic checking me? It's basically 1 2 1 2 1 2 3 1 2.
Hello, mic check 1 2 3 4 5 6 1 2 3.
I like how Chad is schooling us on the Delta Airlines schedule. Thanks, Chad.
Hey, mic check 1 2 3, but I can go with you. Mic check, mic check, mic check.
One, two, three. It's on now. 1 2 3 4 5 6. Can you hear me?
Forsyth County District Attorney Jim O'Neill and Sheriff Bobby Kimbrough say they're charging Matthew West with
Hey, it's time for my 2 cents, and I'm going to be frank right out of the gate. Some of you are not going to like what I have to say this time, but remember, this is an opinion piece. This is a chance for me and me alone to say my opinion. It doesn't reflect on anybody else, the station, or any of the other anchors. This is just me. But I want to talk about parenting and tough love. It is something that I think has fallen by the wayside in parenting in our country today, and it worries me on a lot of different levels. I will tell you that parents, in my opinion, we're not supposed to be our kids' friends. You can be friends later in life, but when you're bringing them up through the ranks and getting them into the working world and through college and school and all that, I think it's our responsibility to teach them how to fight through tough times and develop a thick skin and keep going. I heard a comedian the other day that made me laugh so hard. He goes, I don't get these parents that let their kids do a gap year between high school and college. He said, you know, if I had told my dad that I need a gap year to find myself, he said, my dad would have looked at me and said, I found you, I see you, you're right here in my home and you don't have a job. I burst out laughing. It was funny. Of course, he's a comedian, so he's exaggerating. But it's an example of how if we don't teach our kids to get through tough times and to be stronger, what are they going to do in the working world, and how are they going to develop that work ethic? I hear people sometimes nowadays will say, well, that makes me a little uncomfortable. To me, uncomfortable is about a 1 on a scale of 10. That's what concerns me, that if you can't build your character, push yourself, develop that work ethic, and get through the 1s and 2s, what are you going to do when you get to the 8, 9s, and 10s? And I think as parents, we're dropping the ball if we don't teach our kids how to toughen up, nose to the grindstone, fight through it, and you feel so much better and more accomplished when you get through that on your own. And pushing your kids to be able to do that and fail on their own so they're better the next time is our responsibility. It affects the work ethic, and I think it affects their mental health. Our mental health is super important, and part of mental health, that balance between getting some help, but also working hard, fighting at it. When you fight through it and you control it, you can beat it. And sometimes you do need some help with that, and that's fine. But our work ethic, I think, is falling back. So parents, let's try harder to have as much tough love as we can. I know it's not easy. I'm not great at it myself, but it's something I think we have to do so that America can be super strong and our work ethic and our character continues to build. And that's just my 2 cents. That's your 4 to 5. WFMY News 2 at 5 starts now.
We begin with new charges for the man accused of assaulting 2 Forsyth County detention officers. The district attorney called it the latest troubling attack on law enforcement in our state.
Sheriff Bobby Kimbrough announced the charges at a news conference today. WFMY News 2's Amber Lake was